Okay guys, in our last chat we looked at the first part of stage 1 desired results, and our focus was on essential questions. As a quick review, here's an example where we use content and global essential questions. Say you have a lesson on how to write a chronology, and to teach that concept you use a newspaper article about a day in the life of a soup kitchen that is struggling because of cutbacks in government aid. Your global essential question might be something like, what are the obligations of a nation, state, or locality to provide for the less fortunate? This has to do with issues beyond English language arts and beyond the classroom. A content essential question might be something like, how can the use of a chronology as an organizing principle help a writer establish a sense of time and place in a narrative? This is a skill-based question. See what I mean? One of the things about global essential questions is they emerge from the texts that you select. And so my theory is, because we do care about larger issues, we do care about global issues, we will select texts that encourage provocative essential questions of a global nature. So let's keep going with this first stage of lesson planning by moving to understandings and skills. And as we learned in an earlier chat, skills are the kind of knowledge we're looking to create. So the next field has to do with understandings. And the thing to remember is this: it's hard to quantify what a student understands. We assess understanding all the time, but measuring understandings is far more slippery than assessing and measuring particular actions. So when it comes to understandings, think about them this way. They make claims about the ideas or the content of the lesson, so they are lesson specific. They talk about what you want the student to understand as opposed to be able to do after the lesson. And remember, understanding is what undergirds the ability to do something. So understandings are what students should come to see or to recognize as a result of the lesson. So they're more general. They're less about specific, quantifiable skills and actions, and more about broader skills and abstract concepts. But they are connected to the objectives you're going to teach, because understanding this content is what will allow students to perform particular tasks. In the same way that we use SWBAT, students will be able to, for objectives, we want to think about understanding the same way. Students will or must understand. And I say must in part because the learning we include in this field is as important as the more measurable, and thus appealing to the administration, skills we list under objectives. It's just that SMUT is SMUT, another one of those mnemonics. You get my picture. Anyway, here are two examples of things that could appear under understandings. The first is based on instruction in pre-writing, and the second on a reading about the generation called millennials. Take a second and read them to yourself, and note how one example is more about an English language arts skill, Invention Strategies, and the second is about content, understanding millennials. Okay, take a second, read those carefully. We're going to talk about them a little bit more in the next slide. Okay, let's look again at number 1. Invention strategies help a writer take multiple looks from different angles at a topic. Now, there are measurable skills students can perform with this understanding or knowledge, but that activity is not the focus here. We want students just to recognize that what we are teaching them, invention strategies, can really be beneficial, and this is why, because it helps us take multiple looks. How are we going to measure that? There's no way we can assess it through something that is quantifiable. So that's why it's an understanding. The things that students can do with this understanding or this knowledge, right? I caught myself there. With this knowledge, the things they can do with this knowledge, that's what we want to begin to assess with something quantifiable. Now, Here are 3 objectives, things that students can do if they have the understanding about the invention strategies we named in our first understanding, right? If they understand invention strategies, they will be able to use the journalist questions, which is an invention strategy, to locate a writer's focus by applying the questions to an article. If they understand invention strategies, they will be able to develop a topic outline by reading and then outlining an article. And if they understand invention strategies, they should be able to locate main and supporting ideas by reading an article and circling the main ideas and understanding the supporting ones. What's key in each of these is the by clause. The by clause tells you what they are going actually to do. So in the first one, they are going to locate a writer's focus. Okay? So they're going to have to do something. They're going to have to indicate that they can find it, either through underlining it or highlighting it or writing it down or telling it to you. In the second, they will read and then outline an article. What will they produce? An outline. So reading isn't measurable, but the outline they produce is something that you can grade, something that you can assess. In the third one, they will read an article and circle main ideas and underline supporting ones. They will produce something. Objectives result in something students produce that you can then assess. Either you can grade it or apply a rubric to it, but there is some way to quantify their mastery. That's what objectives are, and they come from what students understand. See, I see this entire desired results stage as a kind of exercise in narrowing, like a funnel. So we start broadly, right? We start with ideas that transcend this particular lesson. Those are our essential questions, and these are both content, remember, and global. Then we look to what knowledge or understandings we can offer to students through the current lesson, right? That's our students will understand that, and our students will be able to. So we go from big questions to understandings to the skills that they will perform. That's our funnel. And remember, you can't spell funnel without F-U-N. So that's the end of stage 1 of planning. In our next chat, we'll move on to stage 2.